Hello YouTube. So this is the long-awaited, long-term update review of these Whitin barefoot shoes I got off Amazon quite some time ago. I'll put the dates and stuff of when I got them and how much they were when I got them up on the screen, rather than trying to remember it or wasting your time reeling it off in the video. Just read it on the screen. But yeah, you know, they're a little bit dirty at the moment, because I do use these for a lot actually. One of my most used pair of shoes in general, not just out of barefoot shoes but out of anything. They're just so easy to just throw on. If you're not doing anything too taxing, I leave this strap loose, the lace is loose, and they're just ready to throw on and go. If I'm going to do like a bit of a 5k walk locally or something like that, you know, around the fields and the woods and stuff, as long as it's not too muddy and wet in winter, I will maybe tighten them up a bit so that my foot isn't sliding around too much. That's probably the only negative thing I've got to say about them actually, is, and it's just not really, it's not really a kind of design flaw or a problem with manufacturing or anything like that. It's just that when you put your foot in it, lateral movements, this material moves quite a lot, it stretches, and your foot can slide off, so it doesn't hold your foot laterally from moving. And so certain movements in the gym, or if you're doing a bit more intense sort of hill walking and hiking, they're not very stable for that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, no barefoot shoe is when they're this flexible and soft and kind of breathable materials and quick drying and stuff like that. If you want that out of a barefoot shoe, you've got to get something a little bit more robust, and you're going to sacrifice some of that softness and flexibility. These are, although there's a bit of weight to these, the soles are a little bit thicker than probably what you'd expect, but that's because they got this trail sole, which is a direct rip-off of Vibram 5 fingers. They have basically this exact sole, except for with split toes, and this is joined. Not the exact rubber, obviously there's not Vibram rubber, but this is the same exact design. How they did that, I don't know. I suppose there's no copyright issues in China or something. If you remember from the first video, the insoles that come with it are quite spongy and thick as well. I've left them in, doesn't really bother me. If you're a barefoot purist, you will want to take these out. And it's kind of a soft foamy type stuff in there, and I think you could wear it without the insoles perfectly fine. I think though you'd be wearing away at that stitching, and it might wear away quicker inside, I suppose, whereas the insole gives it a bit of protection against that. But the insole, I thought it might slip around a bit and scrunch up, and it doesn't. It stays in place pretty well, and they've served me well. I've heard people say there's this arch support and it shouldn't have arch support. I think I said in my first video, but I'll say it now. It's not arch support because it's just not made of anything. It's squishy and it flops down. It doesn't actually do anything to support your arch whatsoever. It's just a design. It fills up a bit of space, gives you a bit of cushioning, I suppose, and you might like that, you might not like that, but can't please all the people all of the time. What I can say is, I've had these for definitely over 2 years. Like I said, I'll put up when I bought them so you can see exactly how long I've had them. It's more than 2 years, and they're still perfectly fine. The soles have worn down a little bit, not even that much really, but they started to wear down. That is about it. These haven't broken off. I can imagine that would break. Once that goes, it wouldn't bother me too much. I could still use them, but that strap does help a little bit to lock them down. But everything's still attached. Everything's still fine. When you pull them laces, if you cinch them one bit at a time, get it nice and tight, they do actually hold pretty well. They are elastic, so if you wanted a really secure fit, then you could replace these with something not elastic so that it holds and doesn't budge. But yeah, I just leave it loose, and it's even got the little Velcro bit to keep the laces out of the way, which is really good, I think, for the price. You don't have to just tuck them under. You Velcro it on. That hasn't failed either. If it did, again, I wouldn't be surprised and it wouldn't bother me, but it hasn't. They've held up really, really well. I don't use them all day, every day. You know, I have lots of other shoes that I use, so they do get rotated, which I think most normal people do. Some people will use these every day, and then they'll say, you know, they only lasted me 6 months, or they only lasted me a year. Well, fine, but I mean, it depends how big you are, how much you weigh, how you walk or run. Maybe you run in these. I've done a little bit of running in these, not a lot. And you know what kind of weather you're using them in, and if you're using them as your only pair of shoes, of course they're going to wear out quick. I mean, it is pretty soft rubber, really. So you know, don't expect them to last forever. They are what they are. They're flexible, soft, quite. But they're minimalist shoes, so there's not a lot of material. They're going to break down quicker than a solid pair of thick leather boots or even leather shoes. You know, these aren't going to last as long. But I think as far as barefoot shoes go, they've been comfortable, functional, robust, and definitely good value for money. There's probably other brands on Amazon that are doing very similar things, and maybe they're just as good. I'm not saying that, you know, Whitin are the only ones doing it. They're just the ones that I got, so they're the ones that I can talk about, and they've done really well. The only thing I'd say, the negative, is that a lot of people don't like the look of them, and I can understand that. I kind of like them. I think they're pretty cool in a certain way, but they definitely won't blend in with society. Like, they're definitely weird looking, because they look like they're pretty much water shoes, aren't they? Let's face it, they're like water shoes but without the holes in the bottom. But they're very similar as well to the, I can't remember what they're called. Are they called the V-Trek? Maybe I'll look that up and put it on the screen as well. But yeah, Vibram Five Fingers do a model that look almost identical to these, just without, this hasn't got the split toes. That's the only difference really. No doubt the quality's not as good, but like I said, it's good enough to be robust. So it doesn't look great. You'll probably find when you get them there'll be extra bits of glue showing around the edges. Not everything is going to be perfect, but they do last, and that's the difference. Like the Vivo Barefoot Magnus Trails that I got, 2 in a row were 40. I've got a friend who sent back his trackers because the sole was separating pretty quickly and they weren't very waterproof. Isa had some Vivo Barefoot trackers and they failed pretty quickly. Although she still likes them in a way, they're not waterproof as they say they are. And the sole started to separate. The sole separating issue is a really common one with Vivo Barefoot boots. Now what I will say is, if you go for their sort of most well-known Primus trainers, I'll show you a picture of them, or the Primus Trail or something like that, I think they're pretty good. I've got a friend who's got some that have lasted quite a long time, have been pretty abused, they've done well. Yeah, I haven't seen sole separation on those at all, and I would still say try Vivo Barefoot if you like the look of them, because they do a 100-day trial and yours might be fine, but I've just kind of given up now. I've got the Vivo Barefoot Gobi 2s, like little desert boots, and they've held up okay in rotation. They've been fine, you know, no quality issues, no problems with them. I really like them, but when it comes to I just want to throw on a pair of shoes and go and be comfortable, this is what I go for. Even after several years of having them, this is what I go for. So if you want to know anything more, put questions down below in this video. Forget about the old one. Put the questions in this video if you want to ask anything more about them, and I'll try and get back to you. So thanks for watching.